Hey, we're live Friday, May 16, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching because, of course, there's nobody here. When you watch this in the future, thanks for watching. Hi, my name is Wayne Pelletier, and I've got something stuck in my craw today. I wasn't originally going to do this, but here we are because I talked to quite a few freelancers. I'm in communities. I've mentioned being in a bunch of communities before, and I'm impassioned. I wouldn't say enraged, but I'm impassioned. How's that? So let's do this because I know it's difficult being a freelancer. I have owned my own small business now for 5 years. I had previously been freelancing as a full-time employee at agencies for 25 years before I started this company. As a designer, art director, creative director, I have built creative teams, design teams inside of media companies. I have torn teams apart for companies. I have reorganized creative teams for companies as a creative director and executive, and I know how and why freelancers get hired intimately. I've hired many, and I've been a freelancer for literally 25 years now, I think. I don't know. I never really did the math, but I've always had a side hustle, which, by the way, really good idea. This isn't about that. This is about positioning. This is about respect. This is about meaningful connections and understanding what it is we came here to do. Okay? So I know how it works, like I said, on the client side. Let me explain. So when you're in a call or a meeting in a conference room at insert big client name, and they're going through the work that they need to get done, their to-do lists, their projects and all this, and they're looking to manage capacity or flow. At some point, some project that isn't important enough to be a priority for an internal designer or a team member, the conversation comes up, let's just hire a freelancer. That's a loaded statement, okay? There's tonality. There is a lot implied in what they just said. Let's just hire a freelancer. Or, hey, go hire a freelancer. When I've walked into my boss's office when I was at agencies as a creative director and be like, we are in a bind here. We've got a bunch of deliverables. Big client called and they need changes to stuff. And we're going to be working all weekend. This other stuff, I need to push it out. The response is always, hire a freelancer. And know where freelancers live inside of the money in the business as an accounting firm, right? Or as an accounting practice. There's full-time employees. They're considered capital expense. They're usually the company's largest bucket of expense, period. It almost always, outside of maybe a real estate issue. And then there is outsourced labor, freelancers or consultants or contractors, however you want to talk about them. And they're all very different. That is discretionary funds. That is something that has a lot of play in it for them, and different levels, director, VP, C-suite, have different amounts of leverage or budgets that they have discretion to use. The upside of hiring a freelancer is that they could just kill that project at any point in time, and there's no legal paperwork to be filed with the state, the county, or the city, or the federal government. There's nothing, no unemployment, no paperwork around health insurance, none of that. So it's easy to onboard and it's easy to offboard rapidly. I'm not saying that there is a lack of respect just because of that. There's a lack of respect because of the work. Just hire a freelancer. That means it's a low priority project the bulk of the time. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to get done, but it is a low priority project the bulk of the time. So they're hiring time. They're hiring extra hands. What they're not hiring is expertise. They're not hiring someone that they're looking for feedback on the project. One-to-one, they will value your experience. That's why you got the job. But at the end of the day, you're not there to contribute to the organization's success as a whole, right? you're largely seen as outsourced labor, which is fine. And if you want to get paid for being outsourced labor, that's also fine. But there's a mindset shift if you don't want to be seen as just a freelancer, right? Or just a contractor that can be severed at any point in time. You know, you have a particular set of skills. And yes, you went and made the decision to start a business and going on your own, however you want to refer to that. That's amazing. 80% of the businesses out there were started because somebody had a particular set of skills. You're strong in a craft. You have deep knowledge with some part of individual contributor deliverable inside of an organization. If you're a freelancer like I am, you've come up doing designer, whatever. Look, you have strengths and organizations need those skills, but they don't always value everything that comes with those skills holistically because we're not on the team. So 2 mindset shifts that need to happen here. 1, ours, yours. This is what I want. You can title yourself anything. I call myself CEO and founder. I don't call myself a designer. There's power in that. There is no license to be a CEO. There's no certification. There's no permission to be a CEO. You founded the business. You run a company. You're a CEO. You are the chief executive officer, whether you like it or not. And you're responsible for the finances, the taxes, the accounting, the books, all of it. So guess what? Congratulations, you're a CEO. There's a mindset shift that happens when you tell other people that you're a CEO. And maybe some other designer will give you crap, or people have picked on me saying, oh, that's funny, you're a CEO. Fine. You can feel that way about what I do and whom I do it for. But at the end of the day, you're a chief something or other if you run a company. So you can do all kinds of things with that information. The CEO of Giant Corp didn't go to CEO school necessarily. They probably have an MBA, or they have a doctorate degree in some level of either business or finance or whatever it is. I'm not saying they're not accomplished. They absolutely are. But you don't hang a thing, I'm certified to be a CEO, on your wall. And just keep it with a little ribbon and banding all around it. So you can call yourself whatever you want. But organizations don't value someone who is just outsourced hands. What they value is someone who is doing something of value that is an outcome. They value outcomes because outcomes make them successful. And that's really what we're in the business of doing. So I want to move from our title to those certifications. Yeah, if you don't have an MBA, you literally can't and should not put MBA next to your title in LinkedIn, right? It's probably not a good idea. But there are lots of certifications out there, and you'll see people on LinkedIn or their business cards or their email signature have like 5 acronyms at the end of their name, right? And that's fine. They've worked hard to earn those certifications. That's fantastic. But even those, there's no like government registry for those acronyms. You can just put, I could put Wayne Pelletier, FBA, which just means friggin' badass. You could put whatever you want in there. So if you want to spark conversation or add something like that you feel like gives you some level of strategic value or leverage inside of all of your relationships, those suffix acronyms to our name and title are on the table. Sure. Just don't do something that is dishonest and say you're certified in something where you're not certified. That's not cool. But the next thing I would do for a mindset shift, and this is what I do a lot. And I started doing this right out of the gate with my company because I had experience for freelancing for like 25 years, freelancing before I was a founder. Look, strategic small talk when you get on a phone with a prospect or a new client matters. I'm not saying, everybody's like, oh, how's your dog? Whatever. That's fine. But sometimes just trying to relate to someone as a business leader or a founder matters. So if you're talking to someone who's a director at some big company, they're not on the hook for the entire business like you are. period. So having a conversation about what it's like running a company, or the challenges, like, oh my gosh, I just got off a call with my accountant and whoo, yay, running a company. Having a conversation, like, instead of your boss being behind a big fancy oak desk and you sitting in a chair and there being this level of authority that is socially complex, try to think about having conversations that put you on a bench next to each other. Like, we're having a conversation as one business leader to another business leader, because you are 100% a business leader. You are not just outsourced hands. So start having those conversations, small talk about what it's like running your business, how you're managing processes, SOPs, outsourcing, issues you're having with staffing. Like, that is what business leaders go to the Chamber of Commerce meetings or local business association meetings or their other founder groups or these retreats that they go on with other CEOs and founders. This is what they bitch about the entire time they're there. Like, oh my God, staffing. Oh, I had to put somebody on a PIP. So relate. Find a way to relate. I'm wicked good at that. Not here, obviously. I'm not particularly good at this, but I'm getting better. It's those conversations where I have small talk with the business leader that I'm talking to make sure that they understand in a very passive way, we're running a business here. And this interaction, my business, your business, it matters. It matters dramatically. So it's a good way to do it. And maybe I'm being a little melodramatic about it, but I want you to understand that you have more authority in this engagement than you realize. So I mentioned selling outcomes, and I want to move into that. I'm kind of working from memory here, but when you're just selling time, time itself may not be valuable, because you spending time on something doesn't make the client or the person you're interacting with at that company successful in and of itself, that they bought it. So think about the value of your deliverable and the effects it can have on the business, and give that a name. I've named my process. They're buying the process, and that process creates a very specific outcome, right? They get a great website that is going to absolutely create momentum for their business. That's a great one. So that's what they're buying. So think about the outcomes of the work that you're doing and sell that, and always refer to that outcome. So I don't say, oh, we're going to work on this thing today. It's going to be part of whatever, and I'll let you know when it's ready. I say, okay, we're advancing towards the outcome here. Through the process, and you're moved into this next phase. And this phase is one step closer to the outcome that you're buying. And, I'm excited to get there with you. Having that positioning of value and branding it is extremely powerful, because there's tangibility in a name. There's tangibility in having something that they've already seen the entire flow of, that they know visually, and they've internalized, this is what I'm buying from this business, right? I'm not just throwing tasks at a freelancer and hoping that value shakes out of it, because that's indirect value. I'm talking about direct value. The next one I would say is professionalism in communications. And I think that there's always this struggle as freelancers or solopreneur, or even if you consider yourself an entrepreneur, which you absolutely are, we versus I. If you say, I'm going to do something, that's great. But the more you do that, when you need to make a change in an engagement, either contractually or from a service option standpoint, it's your fault if they don't like it. I. So if you say we, or look, the business has decided, or the business is making a change to how we do things, and we're going to make an update to the contract, or we're going to invoice you this. We versus I is extremely powerful. If you constantly say I, when something doesn't go wrong, it's your fault. You're in the hook. But if you say we, because you and the LLC, or however you're incorporated, are both partners in the business. A business is now a person. A company is a person. So think about we strongly. Not everybody's comfortable with it. I get it. but think hard about going in with we if you want to be a company. Now, if you're freelancing under your name, I get it. That's difficult, but that doesn't mean you're not outsourcing some work. You don't have a team. You don't have a VA or a designer or developer or people that are helping you, contributing to the business. You're a we. Go for it. Be a we, because in we, there's power. There is a lot of it. And there's also a perception on the other end that matters. And we're managing ourselves through a perception gap here, right? In trying to create value in our business and make sure that the perceived value externally is there. And I'm kind of skirting around setting boundaries a little bit. So I'll ask you a question. Who owns the calendar invites for your meetings? Them or you? Because if it's them, they're just assuming your calendar is always open. There's a perception of availability, and with that comes leverage. So don't under leverage yourself by always working around their calendar. Make sure you're managing time blocking, not just because it helps you run your business better, but also because when you've time blocked parts of the week, a couple hours here every single day, wherever you want to put those, wherever you have the time, wherever you have the best energy for calls, you say, I can do calls on Tuesday between this and this. And if that doesn't work for you, pick another day. And don't bend on that. That's important to make sure that you're protecting your time. Critically important. The next one I would say is beyond availability would be response times. If you're really fast to respond to something, 5 minutes, or if you respond to emails at 11 o'clock at night before you go to bed, the perception is you're always going to be available and you're always on the hook to respond when they email you at 11 o'clock at night. So don't respond to emails at 11 o'clock at night. Having 24-hour wait period, schedule your response, like write it while it's fresh in your mind, and then schedule it to send 12 hours from now, 6 hours from now, 2 days from now, whatever is appropriate for you. Set those boundaries and have a rule in the business, like we only respond this quickly. Internally. Externally, you would want to say, look, I guarantee we will respond to you within 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever is right for you in your business. Just set that rule and live up to it. So we guarantee you'll get a response within 24 hours. That doesn't mean you have to respond within 2 minutes. You get a client email, write it up while it's fresh in your mind, or make a note to send it later, schedule it. That's important to set those boundaries. And that was a couple of different ways there. The next one I will say is relationship management in making sure that it is clear that they're not your only client. Not that you need to make them feel like it's their problem if you're busy. That's not great. But making sure that there's an understanding that I run a business here. So when you stack all of the things I just mentioned up, like your availabilities, who owns the invites, we versus I, your title, and those things all stacked up together add up to someone who is building something. And people want to work with people who are productive and energetic and smart and capable and building something. Their priorities are on right. And I think that matters. So have a process. That's the one I missed on there. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you're feeling it. I hope that even if you consider yourself a freelancer or a contractor, or a consultant who probably has more strategic leverage than a freelancer does, even though, it's a fine line in that difference. I would say, I hope this makes you feel empowered. I hope you got some creative ideas from this. And I hope you join me Monday. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Call me crazy. Call me names. Call me whatever you want. Late for dinner. Call it. Say, hey, yeah, man. Appreciate it. Preach. Whatever you want to do, man. I so appreciate you sticking around here and listening to me rant for 20 minutes. I thought this was going to go 6 minutes. I went into this thinking, this isn't meaty enough. But apparently my passion overcame it and I was able to go for 20. Not that that's any kind of goal, but okay, we did it. I hope this was meaningful. It means a lot to me that you feel empowered to run a business that you're in control of and manage relationships in a way that is productive for you. So I hope this was helpful. Join me back here Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern. 3 days a week we do this, baby. We're going 3 days a week, live. I'm messing around. Oh, shoot. You can see the corner of my, I thought that, see? The downside of going live. We get into it quick here. We get into it quick. So, look, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe for notifications about when we go live every single time. Love to have you join me. Love to have you bang on the chat someday and leave a comment. Appreciate you. I will see you Monday right back here. I hope you have a great